Big fella, what you got to start us off an hour or two?
Surgery. I wanted to talk about surgery.
Tell us about it.
Well, I had surgery yesterday. I had like I said last week, a 3.5 centimeter by 3.5 centimeter ganglion cyst resected from my medial tarsi. In layman's terms, I had a ball of shit cut out of my right ankle.
There you go.
And it was pushing on a bunch of nerves in there, and they had to do a nerve release on I don't know how many, he said, 3 or 4 different nerve trunks and this and that. They said it was supposed to be like an hour and a half surgery. Well, it turns out it went 2 hours.
Okay, pretty close though.
Yeah.
And I had something happen to me in part of the surgery that I've never had before. It was a wild experience. I almost felt like a woman for a minute.
Somebody rubbing your nipples?
No, close. I got an epidural, a spinal. They gave me a spinal, which is a wild thing.
I don't know if I could have it done.
Yeah, you could. They gave you your cocktail. So when I get in there, I was actually getting ready to go back to the room, and the anesthesiologist woman come and get me, and she's getting ready to push something in my IV, and she's like, I'm going to give you your morning cocktail. You ready? And I'm like, what? She said, your morning cocktail. And I was like, oh, okay. And it was a mixture of like Versed and a couple other drugs that kind of made me start to slur my speech a little bit. I'm getting a little extra chatty and whatnot. Funny. That's terrible, but like I'm usually pretty funny when I'm on drugs. But so I get back there and they get me up on the table, and then they let me like my legs hang over the side of the table, and then I had to like slump over, and they kept saying like arch your back like a cat, like you're doing that cat thing, like arch your back, put your shoulders down, tuck your chin, and then they said like pop your ass out like you're dropping it, like you're booty dropping, like pop, lock, and drop it. And I was like, what? And they're like, the one girl in there, she knew who I was, and she's like, come on, Mace, like you're on the dance floor getting ready to drop it like it's hot. And I'm like, okay. So anyway, they gave you a shot. They give you a shot in your back at the injection site to kind of numb it, because I can only imagine this needle being.
I've seen it when they did it to Jen.
Some bitch is pretty long, yeah. And then like they got to fish around in there.
I think they can screw a lot of stuff up if it don't go right.
I think so too, which is really wild. So they're in there fishing around for it, and like I felt it on my, and I'm like, oh. She's like, what? And I was like, well, I can feel it on my right side. And she's like, well, does it go down your leg? And I'm like, no, just in my right, like on the right side. She said, okay, hold on. And then she started, oh, you can feel it on my left now. And she's like, is it in your leg? I'm like, no. Well, then she said, what about now? And I said, no, I can't feel nothing. She said, okay, I got it. Don't move. And I'm like, oh, God, don't put that pressure on me, because I'm sitting here by that point for quite some time. They had to give me more shit to help me loosen up, because I was tensing up, whatever, if you can imagine. And boy, I'm going to tell you something. When that son of a bitch hit it and it got in there and she pushed that drug, and like when you literally go numb from the waist down, like that is a wild deal, dude. Like I felt as close to.
You think you could have walked?
No, not a chance. Like I felt as close to Christopher
Did you feel
Reeves.
like trying to walk?
No, I couldn't. I was hanging my legs off the table.
I would have tried to get up.
And I had to, like David, I would have ate shit on the floor. Like I would have been knocked out. Not only am I super loopy on ketamine and all the other stuff that they give me, fentanyl and all kinds of goodies. And then like my legs are hanging off the table, and then they go completely dark. They're done, numb.
See, I couldn't handle
it. And they had
I'd have
to
a panic attack.
That's why they give. No, you wouldn't have. That's why they give you the Versed.
Well, knowing you can't run away. What if them SOBs try to like?
Well, you're done. You're harvest your organs. It's over.
No.
That's why they give you the Versed. You wouldn't have give a damn if they cut your left ball out at that point.
I don't know if I could handle it.
You could, because that's what the drugs are for. So then they get you up and then they like literally physically had to lift my legs up onto the table for me. And then I had to help them like shimmy my ass back up on the table. And then like after that, like I can remember the doctor coming in and like getting ready to start hacking. And then she's like, okay, you're getting ready to go to sleep. You're going to go to night. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And I don't remember nothing. And then I woke up in the OR. I've never woken up from a surgery in the OR. Like I've
Like they were
always
still working on you.
No, like he was done. They were wrapping things up. But like I was awake. Like I woke up, looked down at my feet, and gave the doctor the peace sign while he was like finishing wrapping my foot.
Well,
But they did it by design.
That's why they do it. That's why they do the epidural, so they don't have to put people far under.
Exactly.
And it's not a big as risk surgical.
And you don't wait because like with my laryngitis, like how my throat and I was so hoarse and I had that kind of scratchy little cough and all that shit. That's why the anesthesiology team was like, why don't we just do the spinal and we'll put you to sleep to where you don't have to, we don't have to put a tube down your throat. So like she goes, your throat's already pissed off. If we put a tube down your throat, it's just going to be more pissed off. So why don't we try to do it this way? And I was like, yeah, whatever. And they're like, well, it's your decision. And I'm like, I'm not a doctor. Like, why do you make me make these decisions? So I looked over at the warden and she's like, yeah, do it. You're fine. I was like, okay, yep, I'll do it. You know?
Well, see, but that's how like all those knee replacement, hip replacements.
Yeah.
That's why those have all become same day procedures.
Say my mom.
Because they don't put them down all the way.
My mom's hip, she did it. Like, that's what she said. She said, but she felt like she was about to fall off the table. And they were like, oh, boy, she's getting ready to go, you know. So she told me that story was pretty funny. Now, when I got into the recovery room, they call the PACU. Like you come out, you go into there. I couldn't talk because I was so dry mouthed. So I'm whispering to this poor girl. I do believe her name was Bridget.
Oh, that sounds like heaven, Dave.
Yeah, I was whispering to her. I was like, hi, what's your name? And she's like, Bridget. I'm like, hello, Bridget. You know, but some other woman that was coming into the PACU from surgery wasn't as lucky as me. She must have been full on put out because I think she had a girl part removal procedure done.
Hysterectomy?
Yeah, because I think she kept asking the lady.
Did you not know what?
No,
you just didn't want to say it.
Well, no, but I didn't know. Yeah, but the woman was like, she asked her recovery nurse minimum 9 times if they got it all out, and if they got it done laparoscopically, and she said, "Yep, it's all gone." Laparoscopically, at least 9 times this woman asked the same question. And she said, oh, yeah, you had a birthday today. And she said, yep, it's my birthday. And I got the best birthday present ever. No more periods. And I'm sitting across from this old gal, you know, this gal in the recovery room. And the girl that's doing my intake or my stuff, post-op shit, she's laughing, shaking her head at me, and I was like, I guess, you know, big day, you know. It was just kind of funny. I could only imagine what them people in there.
Out of all the units, like I know your wife's on the labor delivery side.
There it is.
Here it is.
And then your wife was kind of ER, women's hospital,
OBED.
Yeah, I just think that if you're one of those nurses that works like those PACUs. Some of them, they get pretty wild coming off the anesthesia.
That's usually me.
And I don't know how you handle it.
I don't wake up. I usually don't wake up really easy. I usually get real horny. Like for some reason, like the first time I had a surgery, I was in the PACU. I think it was.
Hey, does this wake up come with a?
I said that. I said, hey. She goes, can I get you anything? I said, a Diet Coke and your phone number. And Justine's literally sitting right next to me, and she's like, God, you asshat, I'm right here, you know. And like I just get real flirty, and it's funnier than hell. But I told the doc this last time that the last time I went under for one of my, I think it was my last knee surgery. Like when I come out, I was shaking so bad that I thought the gurney was going to break. Like I was shaking. I've never seen that. I've never felt that before in my life. Uncontrollable, like convulsion shivers. And I was explaining that to a member of the anesthesia team this time. And she said, how old were you? And I was like, I don't know. It was 2014. So I was in my 20s, I guess.
26.
Yeah. So I was that age. And she said, That's because you were a 20-year-old white male, and that's what happens to 20-year-old white males when they have extensive surgeries like that with anesthesia. That's one of the common side effects of recovery when you're coming off of the whatever the big boy drugs they use for that kind of, like, I was out that time for hours, like they were rebuilding my leg.
Yeah.
And she said, "Oh yeah, it happens all the time." And I was like, Jesus Christ, I didn't like that, but yeah, they told me to bring my CPAP. Like I usually bring my CPAP with me for the PACU and all that stuff. Didn't need it because they said, yeah, your sats were like 97, 99 the whole time on room air when you were coming out and all that stuff. Stellar experience. Shout out to our friends over at the Memorial Healthcare Center. Their surgery team over there. Pretty cool. Seeing a lot of familiar faces over there. Know a lot of those ladies over there on that floor.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's about the second one I've had over at Jasper. I had a tongue nodule. I had to have surgery on my tongue that one time. I had to have a
What's the chance we can get back to that someday?
ruptured hydration nodule removed off my tongue. So that was that. And I think actually friend of the program, I don't know, Ben Werney, he's an OR nurse. He was in there. Ran into Tyler, another Dutchman runner. Tyler.
Oh, yeah. Nelson?
Neighbor boy here. He was over there. He came. He was in another I think he was in Doc Blessinger's rooms that morning doing a couple surgeries with him, but he made it a point to come over and say hi. He said, "I saw your name on the surgery list, so I figured I'd stop in and say hey." So I don't know. I think it's really cool just having, seeing familiar faces and shit like that over there. So.
Unless you're standing there on the backside of your surgical gown.
That's exactly what another friend of the program, another one of my friends, is getting ready to go in to have surgery. And his sister-in-law is one of the intake nurses in the surgery. And she's like, I don't want nothing to do with that, because like I said earlier, I did piss my pants in surgery because they say it's very common. Like,
that's just what they told you.
Well, yeah, no.
I tell you that to make you feel okay about yourself.
The funny thing is I had no clue that I had done it until I got back into my other room to where I started to think about, like, with that epidural, they said you have to walk and pee before you can leave.
Yeah.
So you have to wait like an hour and 40, hour and 50 minutes to get, whatever it takes for that fully to come off. And I was like, well, okay. So I started just feeling around down there to see if I can still, feel my unit, basically. And I was like, God damn, or gosh darn, it's all wet. Like, what the hell? And then I took my gown. I'm like, oh, it's pee. And I leaned over. I told Justine, I said, I think I pissed myself. And she goes, no way. It's probably just sweat or something. I'm like, sweat? Like I'm soaking ass wet. Smell this. She goes, I'm not smelling your gown. No. Well, then the nurse came in and she's like, I guess she could hear us bickering back and forth and she must have just been outside. So she popped in. She's like, hey, can I help you with something? I said, I think I pissed myself. And she goes, oh, did you have a spinal? I'm like, yeah. And she goes, oh, it's normal. Happens all the time. And I was like, well, okay. But I think I have to go. She said, well, you got one down. You've already went pee. So now we just got to make sure you can walk. And I'm like, well, don't you need to make sure I can like pee and control it before I go? So they were like, yeah, well, and I said, well, I could probably go again. So she's like, well, let's get you out of your pee pants before you go to the bathroom. So then that poor girl and my wife had to wrangle a pair of saturated Duluths off of my crippled ass into that room and then reinstall a pair of athletic shorts that I had wore there, commando, for me to then hobble with a walker to the bathroom to take a piss. That little did I know. Well, I'm lucky that I only peed what I peed in surgery, because had I peed the amount that I peed after surgery, while in surgery, it would have people probably been slipping and falling and busting their ass. Because like Justine looked at me and she's like, God dang, it's never going to stop. Like I peed a bunch after I was all done. But Yeah, it was actually a pretty good experience, but now I'm into the stage of the pain, and they put this pain pump unit. I got this little thing.
You get to keep that fanny pack?
Yeah. After the ball's empty, I just throw everything else away, and that fanny pack's mine to keep. So.
Nice.
Yeah, when Dad had his knee replaced, they put those on there.
That's pretty wild, really, to think about, because it's just it's a catheter implanted square into my leg, and then he said, like, she said that whenever I go to pull it out, it just feels like, she said she went like this.
It's real, like, yeah. I think Papa Frank.
It's like fishing string.
Yeah, Papa Frank pulled his out on his own.
Yeah.
When he had his
She
done.
said there's no stitches holding it in. There's no glue, tape, nothing. It's just in there.
Well, and that's what somebody that had their knee replaced prior, it's around the same time Papa Frank did. They woke up from surgery a little wild, and they pulled theirs out.
See, that's why.
And they can't put it back in.
That's
Like because they said that's the one thing you don't want to do is snag and pull that out.
Yeah.
Because that'll create more
why
problems.
I was sleeping in the recliner. Dave came to pick me up because I was bored earlier, and he was out and about. And I said, "Hey, he come in and he's like, God damn, you sleeping in this recliner?" And I'm like, "Yeah," because I'm paranoid that I'm gonna roll over.
Like tape it to your leg.
Well, it is. It's taped.
It's taped.
It's taped a bunch, and then they got another couple things coiled in there to where if you did snag it, it would. You got a little leeway.
Yeah.
But I just
Don't want to chance
Yeah,
it.
for
Yeah.
sure.
That is the biggest concern of mine about aging or getting older, and probably why I want to try to get in shape is just a mass to try to get, like your
Oh,
situation
it's a
there,
pain in the butt, man.
like to help you to get to just to piss or get around and
It's a
do whatever
pain.
you need to do. Like it's a wild.
I'm gonna
Wild thought.
I'm gonna ask for a bag pretty early on, like a pee bag. You know what I mean, or like a bedside commode or something. Like if like getting up and walking becomes a chore, just go ahead and I'll just catheter myself every couple hours.
Yeah,
I know I joke about that, but I know a guy that has to do that, and that's terrible. I mean, kudos to you, man. That's tough.
it is a tough spot. That is a tough spot.
I don't know. I just wanted to talk a little bit about my surgery. I'll be off for about 4 weeks and watching a lot of TV and
Well, I'm glad you got it fixed. You've been
no-
in pretty bad shape.
no opioids.
Yeah, that's good.
Absolutely
good.
no opioids. I'm just straight Tylenol and ibuprofen and whatever this shit is in this bag. But that just affects my foot.
It's that's non-narcotic.
Yeah.